I'm not sure I was entirely correct when I was talking about lords in the cabinet, and in the 19th century, Lord Palmerston. I think I probably didn't make this correct. I think I didn't make this clear. Lord Palmerston was certainly a lord, but because he was an Irish lord, he didn't sit in the House of Lords, and he actually sat as an MP for Tiverton when he was Prime Minister. So although he was addressed as Lord, he was actually a member of the House of Commons. So he was probably the exception for the most part, I think, during the 19th century, rather like the Anthony Trollope novel, The Prime Minister. That was a novel that he wrote in 1876. Trollope's novels, if you haven't tried Trollope's novels, they are a sort of debased version of Dickens. They're great fun. And the characters sort of sweep off the page. They don't quite have the Dickens ability to do dialogue, but Trollope definitely weaves quite an entertaining web. And in that novel, there's the Duke of Omnium, the Duke of everything, and he is definitely in the House of Lords. So that was considered the norm in the 19th century, and Lord Palmerston was a bit of an oddity. But for the most part, so we in the 21st century and in the 20th century, we are the ones who are unusual with our insistence that everybody should really be in the House of Commons. And Lord Rosebery, I think, was the only Lord never to have been in the House of Commons. He'd never been an MP. Maybe Lord Aberdeen. So maybe there were two of them, and Rosebery was phenomenal because he was such an extraordinary speaker. And I think today, in the 21st century, when we look back and we realise that there are so many great orators from the Parliament that we simply cannot hear, and there isn't evidence anymore of their sound. And it's most of the time, I think there is this tradition in Britain that when you become Prime Minister in the House of Commons, when you stop being Prime Minister, you go into the House of Lords. Now, David Cameron has now fulfilled that tradition. So it's not that he was ennobled in order to get him into cabinet, all very quick and hush-hush and speedy. I mean, yes, it was. But he should really have taken a place in the House of Lords 6 years ago. Robert Walpole in the 18th century defied that precedent, and when he stopped being prime minister, he declined the offer of a peerage in 1723. But generally, that was the thing to do. The scene of action, to use the word of the Duke of Grafton, may be in the House of Commons, but the place for ex-prime ministers, and possibly even the place for prime ministers, was the House of Lords. And it was possible. It was possible. The prime ministers of the 19th century have demonstrated it was possible to lead, to govern, to do things effectively from the House of Lords, even before there was a clear party system, even before there was the system of whips and cabinets and committees and so on. And when you think back to the 19th century, you think of the Napoleonic Wars and you think of the crisis and the rise of the Industrial Revolution. This was a time of great change, and yet the Prime Minister was governing from a different part of Parliament. It is extraordinary. And Salisbury said that the House of Lords was the dullest place in the world, and I think Earl Grey, the man who gave us the rather tweed tea, he also wasn't terribly happy when his father accepted a peerage, and that automatically meant that his own Commons career was compromised. But anyway.